It's a big universe out there, and NASA's newest telescope is giving us a look at the very beginnings of that universe. We end tonight with spectacular new views from space.
The James Webb Space Telescope had already stunned scientists and the public alike with its breathtaking infrared images of distant galaxies, stars being born, and exoplanets orbiting alien suns. But one unexpected mission, its brief observational window focused on the innermost planet of our solar system, Mercury, would spark a storm of controversy, silence, and abrupt government intervention. It wasn't in Webb's original plan to closely observe Mercury, a planet that had long been considered too close to the Sun and too familiar to warrant significant attention from a telescope meant to peer billions of light years into the cosmos. But when it did, the revelations were so jarring that within days, NASA pulled the plug, first on the data stream, then, allegedly, on the entire telescope's deep space operations. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The James Webb Telescope had turned its mirror toward Mercury during a short observational window framed as a calibration test. At least that's how it was presented publicly. Scientists were curious to see how Webb's instruments handled extreme solar interference and bright planetary surfaces. However, internal memos revealed later that some researchers were already suspicious. For years, strange anomalies had been recorded on Mercury by earlier missions like Messenger, but these anomalies were routinely dismissed as sensor glitches or poorly understood magnetic activity. What Webb detected could not be ignored. Webb's infrared instruments, so sensitive they could detect the heat signature of an exoplanet's atmosphere dozens of light years away, began to register irregularities on Mercury's night side, where temperatures were supposed to plunge to deadly lows. But the data showed localized heat signatures in geometrical patterns. Symmetry in nature, especially in such extreme conditions, is rare. Triangular grids, rectangular outlines, and unusually high concentrations of metallic compounds formed consistent patterns beneath Mercury's surface crust. These readings resembled artificial structures or underground facilities, and the thermal activity suggested they were not dormant. As Webb continued to gather data, it recorded brief but repeated energy bursts in frequencies that mimicked artificial signals. These emissions weren't random. They pulsed with mathematical precision. At first, researchers thought it could be reflected solar interference or cosmic background noise, but the signals maintained a consistent rhythm and came from fixed locations. Even stranger, the patterns intensified when Mercury passed through specific positions relative to Earth and the Sun, suggesting a coordinated alignment or even synchronization. Internal discussions at NASA and the European Space Agency turned frantic. The data was undeniable. Some engineers and astrophysicists proposed the possibility of ancient alien technology embedded within Mercury, leftovers of some primordial interaction with intelligent beings. Others leaned toward the idea that Mercury had been an observational post or energy collection hub. Either theory was explosive. Revealing such information to the public would not only reshape human understanding of our place in the cosmos, but also undermine decades of carefully curated astronomical data and planetary science narratives. Within days of the initial findings, a sudden shift occurred. Access to the Webb data servers was restricted. Collaborative international teams that had previously enjoyed open access were now locked out. A closed-door briefing involving high-level officials from NASA, the Department of Defense, and select intelligence agencies followed. Then came the shocker. Operations for the James Webb Telescope were paused for a systems recalibration, citing a vague technical fault in its data processing arrays. Astronomers and journalists who had been tracking Webb's every move suddenly found themselves in a vacuum of silence. Live data streams were cut. Scheduled observations of distant galaxies were postponed indefinitely. The telescope's eye, once so wide open to the universe, went dark. Speculation exploded across scientific circles and online communities. The timing was too convenient, too surgical to be coincidence. Prominent researchers who hinted at Mercury's anomalies were swiftly silenced, some mysteriously resigning or withdrawing from public discussion. Others were reassigned to unrelated departments. The deeper one looked, the clearer it became that something had been discovered. Something so foundational it threatened to upend the official narrative of not just Mercury, but human history and cosmic context. The implications were staggering. If there truly were artificial constructs beneath Mercury's surface, It begged several urgent questions. Who built them? Why Mercury? Was it part of a broader network of solar system infrastructure that humanity was just beginning to stumble upon? Mercury, with its lack of atmosphere and proximity to the Sun, had always been considered a dead world. Geologically interesting, but biologically void. Yet here it was, possibly harboring evidence of intentional design. Its harsh conditions, searing heat on one side, freezing darkness on the other, could serve as a natural deterrent to exploration. That in itself might have been a design feature. The very notion of finding non-human technology on the closest planet to the Sun reframed humanity's perception of space exploration. What if Mercury wasn't the only celestial body hiding secrets? Mars had long been the focus of ancient civilization theories, and the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn were being explored for potential microbial life. But Mercury had never been on that radar, until now. Webb's infrared imaging capabilities might have peeled back a veil that was never meant to be lifted. At least not yet. NASA's immediate response, cutting off data, grounding further observations, and locking down internal access, only fueled suspicions. The broader scientific community was left in confusion. Why pull the most advanced telescope in human history offline just when it was making paradigm-shifting discoveries? Public statements were filled with hollow reassurances, system maintenance, software calibration, a need to reevaluate the instrument's alignment algorithms. But none of it explained the deliberate silencing of data related specifically to Mercury. Some theorists posited that Mercury could be part of a larger puzzle, perhaps connected to ancient warnings or myths that had survived in coded stories through human civilization. The idea that Earth's earliest civilizations might have known or suspected what lay on other planets has always been dismissed as fantasy. Yet after Webb's brief glimpse of Mercury, such dismissals no longer seemed grounded in certainty. There were those who suggested that early contact might have occurred in a forgotten epoch, and Mercury was either a remnant of that time or a monitoring station left behind. If what was seen by Webb hinted at extraterrestrial engineering, the next logical question was whether it was still active. The energy pulses captured by Webb weren't relics, they were live transmissions. This suggested the possibility of ongoing activity, autonomous or even sentient. Were these systems observing us or awaiting some cosmic trigger? And if so, was the US government's intervention designed not just to suppress public knowledge, but to quietly engage with the implications at a military or strategic level? There were unconfirmed reports, whispers from engineers and technicians stationed at NASA facilities, that prototypes for deep penetration probes were being accelerated. These new probes were supposedly designed to survive the extreme conditions of Mercury's surface and tunnel into the crust. If such a mission was truly being planned or executed, it would almost certainly happen under complete secrecy. No mission briefings, no live feeds, no public discourse. The goal would be singular: to confirm what Webb had uncovered and to assess the threat or opportunity it represented. Meanwhile, scientists who weren't silenced began reanalyzing decades-old data from Mercury missions. Suddenly, previously ignored anomalies took on new significance. Reflected light patterns from crater walls, electromagnetic disturbances recorded by MESSENGER, and seismic data from impact simulations were all re-examined. In nearly every case, small but compelling signs pointed to a hidden complexity beneath Mercury's surface. It was as if the planet had always been hiding something in plain sight, and the Webb telescope had finally ripped off the mask. The sudden shutdown of Webb sparked a wider discussion among independent astronomers and astrophysicists. If this level of control could be exercised over space-based observations, how much of our cosmic knowledge was being curated? Were other discoveries also being filtered before they reached public eyes? The Webb incident ignited a wave of distrust toward official space agencies, with private observatories and amateur astronomers banding together in search of answers. They began turning their own lenses toward Mercury, though none possessed anything close to Webb's capabilities. The mystery of Mercury transformed from an academic curiosity into a high-stakes enigma, one that reached into geopolitics, philosophy, and the deepest fears of humanity. Because if what Webb saw on Mercury was real, if it was evidence of intelligent design, then humanity was not alone. Worse yet, we were being watched, studied, perhaps even judged from a planet we had long considered inert. The realization that our own solar system could be populated by the remnants of an advanced civilization shattered the idea that the cosmos was a clean slate for exploration. We might be intruders in a domain already claimed. Even more unnerving was the possibility that the shutdown of Webb wasn't just about what it saw, but what it was about to see. If Mercury was the first domino, what else lay ahead in Webb's mission path? Were other planets, moons, or asteroid belts hiding similar secrets? Was there an ancient network linking these locations, and had Webb unknowingly stumbled onto a map or a signal relay? The risk, from a government perspective, wasn't just public panic, it was strategic imbalance. Whoever controlled that knowledge or the technology associated with it could possess a power far beyond conventional military capability. As the weeks turned into months, the silence surrounding Webb's Mercury data remained unbroken. No new images, no new reports. NASA maintained its facade of technical delay, while the scientific world waited in frustration. Yet those who had seen even fragments of the original data could not forget. Their minds raced with what it all meant. They continued to whisper in encrypted forums, share redacted visuals, and piece together the faint outline of a planetary secret buried beneath blistering heat and impenetrable silence. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on NASA hiding Mercury secrets after Webb Telescope shutdown? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.